Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to our webinar on refining taste and texture in plant-based dairy applications. We hope today that we're able to provide you with some solutions and ideas in this up-and-coming sector. We're going to start off with some introductions. So I'm Martha, and I work in the marketing department at Ulrick in short. I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. With me today, I'm joined by one of our technical field support team members, Ellie Gashgill.
Good morning, everybody.
And we have collaborated with Synergy Flavours today to provide their perspective on taste in plant-based dairy. So we are joined by one of their research application technologists, Adam Byrne.
Good morning, everyone.
So I'm just going to run through an agenda on what we're going to cover today. I'm going to firstly start off by looking at some market insights in the key drivers behind the growth in the plant-based dairy sector. I'll then pass over to Adam, who's going to look at the challenges of flavouring, masking, and delivering authentic dairy profiles. Ellie's then going to talk through how to use our functional ingredients to provide desired textures before finishing up with 3 different application concepts. Throughout this webinar, there's going to be some QR codes popped on screen, which will take you to some recipes and product guides. So feel free to scan these with your phones as we go through. Later today, you will all receive a recording from my colleague Jess. This will have all the downloadable resources on it, so don't worry if you miss anything on the live webinar. If you have any questions about anything that we discussed today, there are a few ways that you can get in contact with us. You can pop any questions in the Q&A box on Zoom. We don't have time to answer these live on the webinar, but we will direct your inquiry to the relevant person who will be in touch shortly after. Alternatively, if you're an existing customer, either of Ulrick & Shaw or of Synergy, you can contact your account manager who will be able to help you. There will also be some contact details for both Adam and Ellie at the end of the webinar, so you can get in contact directly with either of them if you wish to. So before we start looking at what's going on in the plant-based dairy sector, we'd like to find out from you what you currently think your biggest development challenges are when developing plant-based dairy products. Are you finding getting the desired textures or taste challenging? Or are you looking to nutritionally match your products to conventional dairy and you're finding it difficult to get the right micro or macronutrients? Or is it a combination of all of these factors that you're finding really challenging at the minute? I'm just going to leave this up for a few more seconds to let you all get your answers in. Right, and I'm going to share the results with you now. So there's actually quite an even split on here between texture and taste. And a lot of you are saying that all of these, a combination of all of these factors are quite challenging for you. So hopefully today we're able to provide you with some solutions to these common problems that you're finding. So let's get into looking at what's going on in the plant-based dairy sector. So we're going to go back to where it all began. It started out as a really niche sector and it was positioned for those consumers that were lactose intolerant. It then evolved and it became positioned for those consumers that had sustainability and welfare concerns over farming and emissions. Plant-based dairy products have begun taking up more and more space on our supermarket aisles, and today they are positioned everywhere and are for everyone. So how has this happened? How has plant-based dairy become so mainstream? Well, we've seen a monumental shift in consumers from your traditional vegetarian and vegan who is making a diet choice for ethical considerations to now your mainstream flexitarian consumer who is choosing a plant-based diet for 3 main reasons. And these are health, diet variation, and sustainability concerns. In fact, we've actually seen 1 in 3 consumers now substitute dairy for plant-based alternatives, and this growth is driven by those flexitarian consumers. So we're going to move on to look at plant-based dairy product launches. So you can see on this graph, this shows the number of plant-based dairy product launches across West Europe over the past 5 years. You can see that they've been growing at quite a considerable rate, and we've actually seen a compound annual growth rate of 21% year on year. The companies that are launching these products are becoming increasingly innovative and are producing a wider variety with more sophisticated options available for consumers. So if we take a closer look at these launches and actually break them down by subcategory, this graph shows you the percentage split of products that have been launched. And now we'd like to launch another poll, and this is to ask you what you think the fastest growing dairy alternative subcategory is. You can see on the graph that drinks have had the most product launches, but do you think that this is the fastest growing category? Or do you think it could be yogurt alternatives, ice cream alternatives, cheese alternatives, or chilled dessert alternatives? I'll just leave this up for a few more seconds just to get some of the last answers in. Great, and I'm going to share these results with you. So the majority of you think that cheese is the fastest growing subcategory. And if I share the results now, it is actually cheese that is the fastest growing subcategory. So you got that right. But if we look at the dairy alternative drink market first, so as I said, this is kind of dominating the plant-based dairy category. They're at 47% of launches. But you can see the NPD levels of these products has slowed down. It's only at 5%. Dairy alternative drinks were some of the first products to come to market in the plant-based dairy space. And the majority of crop bases used at the beginning were soy and almond. Recently, we've seen newer crops being used, such as pea, oat, and we've actually seen a potato dairy alternative drink being launched this year. And we've also seen combinations of different nuts too being used. In terms of value, the dairy alternative drink market has more than doubled over the past 3 years and is forecasted to grow by another 25% into 2023. So there's a lot of demand there from consumers for these products. Moving on to yogurt and ice cream. So a big development challenge in yogurt and ice cream alternatives is ensuring that they have the same indulgent and creamy mouthfeel as the conventional products. You can see on the graph that there's more yogurts that have been launched since 2017 than there have been ice creams. But ice creams are growing at a bit of a faster rate than yogurts. In terms of consumer demand for these products, 1 in 5 consumers want to see more yogurt and ice cream alternatives on supermarket shelves. So finally, moving on to cheese and chilled desserts. So developments in these categories have expanded the choice of plant-based dairy products available to consumers. And they've had the most launch activity since 2017 at 35% and 32%. Being newer categories in the plant-based space, they're still in the beginning of their product development cycle, and we've kind of seen the first generation of these products come to market. We've seen both new plant-based brands launch products, as well as big players in the conventional cheese and desserts category launch vegan alternatives of their popular products. So a good example of that is Baby Bell. They launched a plant-based version of their classic Baby Bell earlier this year. Some other examples here, we've got Violife and Nourish, who are new plant-based brands launching into the cheese alternative space. We're also seeing retailers launch private label versions of dairy alternatives. So there's an example here of a Morrison's Parmesan alternative. So we've looked at how the dairy sector has evolved, and we've looked at the growth in product launch activity. But what do consumers actually want from these products? So taste and texture are consumers' top priorities when buying any product in any category. So being able to offer delicious and great tasting options is really important in the plant-based space to make sure consumers make that switch to plant-based products. Also, being able to deliver a real and authentic dairy eating experience is really crucial, as 2/3 of consumers say it's extremely important to them that alternatives match the taste and texture of regular dairy. This could be providing indulgence in desserts or ensuring that cheese alternatives have the melting properties as conventional cheese. Finally, then, health is a key driver for consumers when choosing a plant-based diet. So being able to deliver the same or better nutritional values than the animal-based product is also really important when developing these products. So I hope that all of these insights has shown you that there's a lot of opportunities for NPD in this space. And I hope it started sparking some ideas in all of your minds to create innovative and authentic products that match dairy. I'm now going to pass you over to Adam, who's going to discuss how to deal with some of the challenges when providing real and authentic dairy flavours.
Thanks, Martha. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Adam from Synergy Flavours, and I'll be running through some of the taste challenges associated with plant-based dairy products. In addition to that, we'll also look into and provide an overview of how we at Synergy approach the typical taste challenges within plant-based dairy products and what solutions are required to address these. So, flavour interactions within plant-based dairy alternatives differ in behaviour and performance due to their dairy counterparts due to the types of raw material ingredients used. This complex network of plant-based ingredients can be enough to achieve a representative finished product in terms of its texture and structural matrix, but it can also come with and provide some considerable taste challenges manufacturers and NPD teams need to overcome. So how do we look to overcome these taste challenges and refine the taste in the finished product? So at Synergy, we utilise a 5-step approach when addressing these taste modulation challenges within plant-based dairy alternative products. This scientific approach, as illustrated on the slide, demonstrates some of the key necessary steps we need to take to provide a comprehensive understanding of taste and flavour from its generation in food to its perception during eating. What we're going to do now is dig deeper into the individual steps and what they mean. So first of all, the main thing we need to do is understand the overall product matrix and overall flavour profile of the plant-based dairy application. We should do this by breaking it down using scientific techniques, including sensory, analytical, flavour creation, and application know-how, focusing on discovering the overall profile of taste and aromas that could be unpleasant and off-putting to a consumer. The learnings and outputs from this stage will assist us in building up a complete solution from our toolbox of taste modulation solutions. The next section is to do with mouthfeel harmonization. So often one of the significant things we learn through the techniques in step 1 is the challenge of mouthfeel in these types of applications. Materials derived from plant-based sources such as soy, pea, coconut, and oat are often commonly used within plant-based dairy alternatives, which may bring some of these mouthfeel challenges. So as you can see on the graphic on the screen, there can be multiple mouthfeel taste challenges, including graininess and powderiness. This could come from typical ingredients such as oats, as an example, when left in the aftertaste when you swallowed or consumed the product. Oiliness could come from ingredients like coconut oil and may leave a residual mouth-coating sensation in the mouth. Astringency is usually the drying sensation that occurs when consuming some of these types of products. You may also experience a thin, watery mouthfeel in some of these types of products, lacking the richness and indulgence of their dairy-based counterparts. It's also probably worth noting that any given plant-based dairy alternative could have multiple challenges from the graphic on the screen, which further adds complexity when trying to harmonize a good mouthfeel base layer. So this means it poses a need for mouthfeel modulation solutions to harmonize and mitigate the challenges within this space. This is something we at Synergy have looked at extensively, building our toolbox of plant-based mouthfeel flavors. The next step we're going to look at is the unpleasant base notes deriving from some of these dairy alternatives. There are a wide variety of plant-based dairy products on the market currently, containing various different types of bulk ingredients, from proteins to fats to carbohydrates, which all have their own taste challenges, which may need a degree of masking. For example, bitter taste is one of the key factors that can reduce the overall acceptability of plant-based alternatives. Bitterness is detected by receptors on our tongue and can be upfront in terms of its impact, continuous throughout consuming a product, and also found in the aftertaste of these sorts of products. Secondly, plant-based notes arising from ingredients such as the pea, oats, soy, and coconut, to name but a few, are also considered undesired for consumers of plant-based dairy products. For example, pea proteins can often be described as soapy, green grassy, and beany. And as Martha mentioned earlier, vitamins and minerals are often added to plant-based dairy products to fortify a specific nutritional benefit. And this is something we at Synergy are seeing a lot more in terms of new launches in the plant-based dairy space. These in themselves, when processed to form the finished product, can give their own undesired tastes, such as these lingering metallic notes. So as we explore the new alternative ingredients for everyday use in plant-based dairy, the taste and acceptability will remain key in the mind of the consumer. This presents a growing need for the relevant flavouring solutions, such as bitterness maskers, plant harmonisers, and taste modulators. We at Synergy have monitored this growing market closely, developing and creating flavour solutions to manage these requirements. Stage 4 involves flavour pairing to the plant-based we're working with. We have seen that when adding the same directional flavour at the same dosage to a dairy and a plant-based application, the flavour performance and behaviour can be very different. This is primarily due to the interactions the flavour has with the base notes, and because of this, flavour pairing is essential for delivering that great taste. The science of flavour pairing can be complex, but essentially, flavours which share multiple key aroma compounds are more likely to pair synergistically than those which don't. Our analytical insights obtained in step 1 help us to blueprint the overall flavour profile of the dairy alternative base, enabling us to select and create the best paired directional flavours for optimum taste performance. The figure on the screen shows some of the overlapping notes in pea protein and a typical chocolate flavour. In this case, finding more commonalities between the base and the flavour, such as those floral, nutty, caramelic and fatty notes, allows for greater compatibility. And then finally, full sensory validation is required by a trained panel to complete our approach into understanding how these taste challenges have been overcome with flavour perception during the consumption. This demonstrates how the flavour solutions chosen in this approach meet the brief in terms of refining that taste in plant-based dairy alternatives. So what does our approach look like in terms of a summary? Well, we've broken down the base to understand the overall flavour profile of the plant-based alternative. Identifying those taste issues surrounding the base, we then look to modulate the mouthfeel and mask some of those base notes using our flavour technology. And then lastly, pairing the compatible directional flavours to the plant-based profile with this approach drives a great tasting finished product. So what we've done is we've built upwards, layering our solution specific to the base we're challenged with. I'm going to now hand back over to Ulrick and Ellie, who's going to provide an overview on the texture and structural challenges within plant-based dairy alternatives. Thank you.
Many thanks to Martha and Adam for that very insightful piece of information. I'm Ellie. Martha has already introduced me, but I'm part of the field support team here at Ulrick, which means that my role is to provide hands-on technical support with using our ingredients to our customers. As a consumer of plant-based dairy products myself, I can really testify to the developments that Martha outlined in her session. As she mentioned, these products are no longer for consumers of very niche diets. They're becoming a lot more mainstream and being consumed by everyone, everywhere. And again, as mentioned by both Martha and Adam, this means that nutrition is becoming more of a consideration as well. And plant-based dairy products are being challenged to match their dairy counterparts in terms of nutrition, as well as in terms of taste and texture. The first generation of plant-based dairy products did lack in certain elements. Martha and Adam have also outlined some of these issues. Adam mentioned sort of a thin mouthfeel in his presentation. The development in this sector means that the products are starting to match not only the eating occasion, but also the eating experience. We found that with a lot of initial plant-based developments, products lacked things like mouthfeel. Adam mentioned sort of a thin mouthfeel. And with things like cheese, vegan cheese, meltability was particularly lacking. We also found that we lacked the bulk sensation that we would get from consuming a conventional dairy product. But I would say with the developments in this sector, a lot of the plant-based products are improving massively, cheese being a really good example of this. And again, as Martha mentioned, one of the fastest growing sectors within plant-based dairy. And I know that with Christmas just around the corner, cheese is going to be at the forefront of everybody's mind, and rightly so. So what we're going to do is have a look at some of the functional ingredients that we supply at Ulrick and Short and discuss how they can be used to overcome some of the challenges that you might be experiencing in plant-based dairy development. So we're going to have a look at a couple of our product ranges where our development team has used these ingredients to develop some of our plant-based dairy concepts. The first product range that we're going to look at is our complex range of proteins. And the first product is a product called Complex 26, which is a pea protein. Anyone who's met me before will know that this is my personal favorite product. I think it's amazing, but we'll stick to the facts. It has really good emulsification properties. It can be used for protein claims within plant-based dairy and has a nice clean flavour and very creamy mouthfeel. Alongside Complex 26, we typically use another pulse protein, Complex 19, which is a fava bean protein. Once again, we use this product for its emulsification properties to boost the protein content of the plant-based dairy concepts, but also Complex 19 is used widely in plant-based dairy because of its light colour, so also matching some of the sensory attributes of a conventional dairy product. The second range of products is our range of thickening Synergy starches, not to be confused with Synergy Flavours. Lots of Synergy on the webinar might get a little bit confusing. So the first product that we have in this range is a product called Synergy G. Here, what we've done is combined the attributes of tapioca, maize, and pea to provide a firm set-back texture. And we'll talk a little bit more detail how we utilise this in plant-based dairy when you start to show you some of the concepts. The second product from our Synergy range is a product called Synergy L526, which is a tapioca starch. This product provides cook-up stability and viscosity in plant-based dairy applications. So if we have a look at a couple of concepts, the first one that we have is a plant-based cream cheese that we've developed. The cream cheese is quite a versatile product because it can be flavoured as a savoury application or as a sweet application. In its savoury form, it can be used in things like cream cheese and chive dip, or in its sweet form, it can be used as things like a base for a plant-based cheesecake. And as Martha mentioned, you have a QR code that's on the screen if you want to access the recipe. If not, not a problem. Our colleague Jess will be sending these out after the webinar. So as you can see from the recipe, in this application, we've used a combination of Complex 26, our pea protein for emulsification and for protein content. In addition, we've used Complex 19 for similar reasons, but for its light colour. We've also used Synergy G, which is providing some of that set-back texture to the cream cheese. We will touch on Synergy G in a little bit more detail when we come to look at the next application. As you can see, we've also used some Synergy Flavours in this recipe. So Adam, can you give us a little bit more detail on the flavours that have been used in this recipe?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ellie. So yeah, as you can see from the slide in the yellow boxes, we've used a combination of flavouring solutions for the savoury cream cheese. In terms of what we've actually used specifically, we first of all have the dairy indulgence. The primary function of this is to provide that creamy mouthfeel base layer and will help to modulate some of the rich taste perception. It also helps in masking some of those coconut oil notes coming from the base. Now, dairy cream cheese has these sort of tangy, fresh, cheesy notes, which can be quite difficult to mimic in a plant-based counterpart. So what we've added on top of the dairy indulgence is one of our sour cream flavours. This helps to bring back some of those tangy, acidic and fresh notes that the plant-based base would lack. For the sweet cream cheese, again, we've used a combination of flavour solutions highlighted in the yellow boxes. The vegan dairy indulgence flavour, again, assists in masking some of those coconut oil notes. highlighted in Ellie's recipe sheet, and provides that rich, creamy mouthfeel base layer. In addition to that, we've used a mascarpone flavour this time, which works on top of the dairy indulgence to provide a directional profile to that of sweet cream cheese, building in some of those sweet, lactosey, milky and creamy notes. Both the flavours demonstrated on the screen can be declared as natural flavouring also. What we're going to do now is go over to the vegan panna cotta, and Ellie will help take you through that recipe.
Indeed, our next concept is indeed a vegan panna cotta, plant-based panna cotta. So within the panna cotta, we've actually utilised Synergy G, as mentioned earlier. In a conventional panna cotta, you would typically thicken and set the product using gelatin. But with gelatin being an animal-derived ingredient, it's not suitable for use in plant-based or in vegan applications. So as mentioned previously, we've utilised the different textural properties of tapioca, maize and pea to provide a very short setback texture that mimics that of gelatin, but that can be used in a plant-based dairy dessert concept. And once again, as you can see in the recipe, there are some Synergy Flavours here. So Adam, can you tell us a little bit more about these?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the plant-based panna cotta, we have taste challenges coming from the coconut and almond milk we need to modulate. The vegan dairy indulgent flavour you can see in the yellow box, again, helps with providing that clean tasting base layer, providing that creamy mouthfeel, whilst also harmonising some of those oily and nutty plant-based notes from those coconut and almond materials. In addition to that, we've also used a clotted cream flavour this time, which enables us to build in some of those creamy, rich and authentic dairy aroma notes that the coconut and almond material lacks compared with your standard milk and cream. And finally, we've used those two flavours in combination with one of our natural Madagascan vanilla flavours to give a premium beanie vanilla profile, which has been allowed to perform on top of our layer to harmonise base application. Using the flavours in this way layers that complete flavour solution to modulate the mouthfeel, mask some of those unpleasant notes and provide that great tasting vanilla flavour direction. Again, like with the cream cheese, all of these flavours here can be declared as natural flavouring on the back of your ingredient pack. Next up, I think, is the pea milk.
It is indeed. Thank you, Adam. And can I just say that clotted cream flavour, it's incredibly indulgent, incredibly creamy. It's really good. You have to try it. So the last concept is indeed a pea milk. As Martha mentioned, the plant-based milk category is the largest within the plant-based dairy. So to this end, we have a pea milk. It's actually quite a versatile product. It can be used as the base of a number of different plant-based dairy applications. So we'll use it as the base in some of the plant-based cheeses that we've developed, also in some applications like ice cream or like desserts. So within the pea milk, of course, we've used complex 26 for its emulsification properties and for its protein content. In addition, we've used Synergy L526, our functional tapioca starch, to provide the cook-up stability and viscosity. What we've done here is utilised one of the properties of tapioca, and that is that it has a really clean and really clear flavour. So rather than masking other flavours that are added into the application, tapioca actually allows those to come to the forefront and allows them to be tasted. And on the subject of flavours, again, we've used some Synergy Flavours in this application, which I'm hoping that Adam will be able to speak to us about for the final time this webinar.
Yeah, so as you'd expect, a milk style product versus a set panna cotta or cream cheese is much thinner in texture and is required to be drinkable. So for the barista style milk, we've used different solutions to help modulate the mouthfeel, which is our vegan creamer flavouring in the yellow box on the screen. This helps us provide that smooth, creamy layer similar to that of cow's milk, but also helps us to mask some of those astringency notes as well. You can also see that we've used the vegan creamer in combination with our fresh milk flavour to provide those sweet, lactosey, milky type notes. And again, like with the other flavours, these two can be declared as natural flavouring. Thank you for listening about our flavouring solutions within plant-based dairy applications. I'm going to now hand back over to Martha, who will wrap up today's session.
Thank you, Adam and Ellie, for those really insightful and useful solutions and application concepts in this plant-based space. We hope that you've all found this short webinar useful. As mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions on anything that you've heard today or are looking for any support when developing dairy alternative products, feel free to get in touch, either through the contact details on screen now or through the Q&A box. We'll be leaving this webinar open for a few minutes for any last queries to come through. Thank you all for your time today. We hope that you all have a lovely Christmas and New Year, and we hope to see you on our next webinar on egg replacement solutions.